Okay, so since this has the same L, W, and H, what kind of shape is it? It's a cube, right? So you have a formula for, and a cube is just a special rectangle prism, yes? Yes. So you have a formula for it, so you could have filled the formula in, or you could have stopped for a second and thought, wait a second. If this is a cube, aren't all sides exactly the same? So how this side is 5 squared, right? Because it's 5 by 5? Yep. And how many sides are there in a cube? 6. So 5 squared is 25 times 6 is 150. Right? Easy peasy lemon squeezy, yeah? Okay. Now, let's look at this one. So this one, and I'm going to use my white outliner here. There's this triangle, yeah? And there's 2 of them, right? So a triangle is base times height divided by 2, right? But since there's 2 of them, what's going to happen to those 2's? They're going to cancel out. So base times height is going to cover both the front and the back of this, isn't it? So the base of the triangle is 8. The height is 6. So I know I've got at least 48 there. That's covering the front and the back, right? Then what makes up the other 3? They're all rectangles, aren't they? How big is the bottom rectangle? 8 by 7, which is 56, right? How big is the back rectangle? 42, because it's 6 by 7. 42. Now, how do I get this red rectangle? You got to do a squared plus b squared plus c squared, don't you? Because that's a slant height, isn't it? And if you don't know a slant height, and there's a triangle involved, we do Pythagoras, yes? So a squared, b squared, c squared. 6 squared is 36. 8 squared is 64. 36 and 64 is 100, so this must be 10, right? So how big is this red guy? 7 by 10, which is 70. And what do you do with those 4 numbers? Plus them, Eden? Let's be in grade 10. We'll add them. Okay? Because you don't plus things. Add them up is 90, and 70 is 160, and 56 is 216 centimeters squared. Let's do this one too. Actually, I was gone a long time. Should we just do the whole first page? Okay, we'll just do this one. Okay, no problem. So, this one is just a rectangular prism, yes? Can you follow the formula? Yes. Who decides which is L, W, and H? You do. Doesn't matter where you put the numbers, though, does it? If you're following the drawing, then this is H, this is L, and this is W, isn't it? If you look on your formula sheet, right? And then you just fill it out. 2, whatever it is, HL, 3, 12, plus HW, 3, 4, plus WL, 12, 4. Do the work. 36 plus 12 plus 48. 60, 96, 2 times 96, which is 192. I was just about to write centimeters squared. What a moron. 192 centimeters squared. Okay? Yes? Nearest tenth. There's no decimal. So the nearest tenth is 192. That's okay, buddy. You rounded it to 190? Yeah. Tenths are decimals. I'm aware of that, but then if you were, that says to me I need to do a quick lesson on decimals. Do I? No. Okay. Tenths. Everyone okay? Yeah. All right, so you guys go back to work. I'm going to pause this. I'm going to be walking around. Ladies and gentlemen, can I call your attention to letter D? I used to hate it when teachers did that. They would say number D. Did that ever happen to you guys?
Yeah.
A teacher that would say number D?
Yeah, I say it all the time.
That was last year.
That's because I don't understand numbers.
Okay. Now, guys, how many, again, is there more than one way to do this question? Yeah, there totally is. So, if I start working on it and show you what I do and you don't do that, do you freak out? No. When do you freak out? When you get to the answer if you get it totally wrong, okay? Here's the way I do this question. I pretend that this square and this square, plus the one on the back and the one on the left, are not there. You understand what I'm saying? Here is why I do that. Because if those four squares aren't there, isn't this shape the exact same as this shape? Does everybody understand what I'm saying? So, if I follow this pattern with 12, 4, and this happens to be 4 tall, not 3, right? Because it's got that line. If I do that, then all I need to do is add in that side times how many times? 4. Because there's 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Everybody with me? So if I do this exact thing, which is 2, 12 by 4, plus 12 by 4, plus 4 by 4, which is 2, 48 plus 48 plus 16, which is 96, and 16 is 106. 112 times 2, 224. 224, and that covers everything except these 4, right? So then I just got to add in, how big is this? It's 4 by 4, right? And there's how many of them? 4. So I got to add 4 times 4 by 4. 4 by 4 is 16, times 4 is 64. 224 plus 64 is 288. Now, listen for a second. Depending on who your grade 9 teacher was, he or she may have suggested that you do this. Cut this in half. Call this guy number 1. Call this guy number 2. Do surface area of 1, surface area of 2, and then subtract 2 overlaps. How many of you have seen that? Okay. Is that okay? Is there anything wrong with doing it that way? Of course not. But I find it easier to choose the basic shape, cut out the garbage, and then add it back in later. Then you don't have to remember, oh, is there 2 overlaps? Did I take one away? Everybody understand? Everybody cool? It's your choice how you do it. I just find this way to be easier. Because then you just do the one that you already know how to do and then add in what's left. Everybody cool? All right. Can I do letter E? There's one measurement I don't have in letter E. It's right here, yes? How do I find that measurement? It's a right angle triangle again, right? So it's Pythagoras, yeah? If this is 4 and this is 3, how big is that? 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16, so this is 5 centimeters. Now you can do it, right? You would just count it all up, right? So what I would do here is I would find, in this one, I have to use an overlap, don't I? Because we're losing this rectangle right here. That's gone. So for this guy over here, I would do 2 times 8 by 3 to cover this guy. right? 8 by 3. And the top is what? How long is this? 8. How long is this? 3. So I got to add another 8 by 3. That covers all of that. But then I got to add just one of this guy, right? What's this guy? 3 by 3. And that will cover all of this. Cool? Then I got to find this guy over here. There's this rectangle. I got to add, what's this rectangle? What's that rectangle? Written on the page. Just waiting for somebody to say two numbers. 3 by 4. Thank you. What's this rectangle? 3 by 5. Then I got to do the triangles, right? What's the trick with triangles? One triangle is base times height divided by 2, right? But I have 2 triangles there, don't I? So what happens to the 2? Cancels out. So I just need the base, which is 4, and the height, which is 3. So I got to add 4 times 3, and that'll cover the triangles. And then I just add it all up. So that's 24 and 24 is 48, times 2 is 96, plus 9 is 105, plus 12 is 117, plus 15 is 132, plus 12 is 144 centimeters squared. Does everybody see what I did there? If you did something different but still got 144, is that okay? Yeah. Will I ever punish you for doing your math differently than I do? No, never. This is not middle school. You can do the math any way you want. Because I can't get in your brain, Wyatt. I can only give you some tools to figure it out, right? That's the way I would do it. A great many of you might have done something differently. Everybody cool? All right, I'm going to pause. Okay. So, let's look at this one. Now, there's this rectangle, right? How many of them are there? How many of the green rectangles are there? Times 2. There's the yellow rectangle. How many of them are there? Times 2, correct? Okay. Then there's the blue rectangle. How many of them are there? Times 2. Is everybody cool with that part? And then there's this triangle, yes? And there's 2 of them. Now, we know that when we have 2 triangles, it's just base times height, yes? Now, I've twisted this triangle sideways. This is what it looks like now, but if I turn it this way, is it still the same triangle? So now our base is 5 and our height is 5, isn't it? Right? So that becomes 5 times 5. And that covers both triangles, yes? Then there's only one rectangle that I haven't done. What rectangle is that? Underneath. How many of the underneath rectangles are there, Prab? Just one. So the underneath rectangle, the bottom, BTM, is 15 by 7.1. Everybody cool? So the triangles are 5 by 5, the bottom's 15 by 7.1, then I just got to do these 3. Yeah? So this one is 5 by 15, right? Plus this yellow one, which is 15 by 2, plus this blue one, which is 7.1 by 2, and all of those were doubled, weren't they? So you just do the math. 30 plus 15 times 5 is 75, plus 7.1 times 2 is 14.2. Add it all up, 105 and 14.2 is 119.2. Doubled is 238.4, yes? And then I add 5 by 5, which is 25, and I add 15 times 7.1, which I can't actually do in my head. It's 71 and then 35.5, 106.5. Is that right? So then I add 106.5 to get 238 and 100 is 338 and 6 is 344.9 plus 25 is 369.9. I believe. I did all that in my head. Is that right? Thank you, Vicky. Everybody cool? Anybody got a problem with that one? Now, listen to me, please. Remember, if this stresses you out, if seeing the whole picture is difficult for you, are you always able to break it down into the basic shapes? And when did we learn the area of basic shapes? Like grade 3 and 4, right? So you can always do that. Cool? Okay, I got enough time to do the next one as well. Now the next one, there's a shortcut, and then there's the way you were probably taught in grade 9. In grade 9, you were probably taught to cut it in half and minus overlaps, yes? Okay, I want to show you guys something that, again, I find easier. Is that green part and that green part, are they part of the roof? Yes. If this blue part wasn't cut out, is this just a regular rectangle prism? Yeah, well, just wait a sec. Pretend it looked like this. Watch. Is everybody cool with that? Yeah. If I drew that, we could do it super easily, couldn't we? We would just follow the formula, yeah? So, you're all aware that if I drew it that way, all we would do is do the formula, right? Because the roof would be covered by the formula, yes? And this side would be covered by the formula, yes? The only thing missing is this rectangle right here, yes? How big is that rectangle right there? How long is it? The whole thing is 22, and it's been cut into 2 equal bits. So how long is that? 11. How long is this up and down? 2. So this is 22, isn't it? And how many of them are missing? 2 of them. So I'm losing 22 times 2. So I lose 44, right? So if I do this normally and subtract those 2 bits that are taken away, do I get the right answer? Does everybody see what I did there? Can you do it the grade 9 way? Can you do 1, 2, subtract 2 overlaps? Of course you can. You'll get the right answer. Can you count up every single rectangle and add it up? Yes. Will you still get the right answer? Yes. But since all of you are always saying, oh, I want to show less work, I want to get further, my way is the quickest way, right? Because if I do the rectangle formula, 2 LW 22 by 6 plus 22 by 6 plus 22 by 4 plus the backside, which is 6 by 4. That covers the whole thing, doesn't it? And then all I got to do is subtract out these 2 red rectangles, because they're not there, are they? No. I minus 2 times 11 times 2, because that is right there. Everybody cool? That's a little tougher to do in your head for me. 22 times 6 is 120, and 12 is 132. 22 and 4 is 88, plus 24 minus 44. 132 and 88 is 220, and 24 is 244 times 2 is 448 minus 44. 404? Okay, I probably missed something. I mean, I was doing it all in my head super fast. Well, let me check again. 22 times 6 is, now I got to get a calculator just to make sure. Because I think you're right, Eden. I think you're right. No, I think you are. Yeah, it's 444. So I just screwed up somewhere in the math in my head. 444. All right, your job, ladies and gentlemen, is to first put the room back the way it was. Put all the desks back where they belong. Put the chairs back behind the desks. And finish page 32 for homework. Okay? And your other job is to have a very good weekend and do something cool. So on Monday, you don't have to feel lame when I ask, did anybody do something cool this weekend? Do something cool. Don't worry, it won't be as cool as what I'm doing. Because I'm going surfing and to a concert. But one day you too will be 42 and be able to go surfing and to a concert on a weekend. Huh? Your bones will heal. Bones heal, Rihanna. That's what they do.